billionaire Jack Ma will relinquish control of the country's fintech giant Ant Group.
The billionaire Jack Ma is to give up control of Chinese fintech giant Ant Group, but why? The reason for his giving up is a regulatory crackdown, and Ant Group has said that after the change, no one would have overall control. Jack Ma has to surrender control because of a Communist Party crackdown on the nation's tech sector that has targeted the charismatic billionaire. While on the other hand, his company said in a statement on January 7 that it was adjusting its ownership structure so that no shareholder, alone or jointly with other parties, would have control over the entire Ant Group. One of China's most recognizable entrepreneurs, Ma once symbolized a generation of Chinese technology moguls with his rags to riches personal tale and penchant for public showmanship. But the formerly flamboyant Mr. Ma has seldom been seen in public since he criticized China's financial sector in 2020. The billionaire Chinese businessman was rarely seen in public since criticizing the regulator's attitude toward tech companies 2 years ago. And following that criticism, Ant Group's planned stock market flotation was abruptly halted. He withdrew from public view since Beijing torched Ant's planned initial public offering, IPO, in Hong Kong in 2020 because of his barbed comments about government regulators. Many of you must be aware that Ant Group runs Alipay, the main online payment system in China, which has eclipsed cash, checks, and credit cards. Mr. Ma is a former English teacher who founded the e-commerce giant Alibaba. He, directly and indirectly, controls more than 50% of Ant Group. However, after the changes in governance structure, he will control just over 6%, according to Ant Group's statement. Ant's $34 billion stock market flotation, which would have been the world's largest, was cancelled at the last minute in November 2020. At the 11th hour, Chinese authorities cited significant issues over regulating the firm. Some analysts saw it as an attempt by the Chinese government to humble a company that had become too powerful and a leader who had become too outspoken, which honestly can be true, given the Chinese government's past record. But the regulatory intervention arrived after Mr. Ma had told a financial conference,
要依靠信用体系的发展。今天的银行延续的还是当铺思想，抵押和担保就是当铺。
Why did Jack Ma disappear for 3 months? After the collapse of the stock market flotation, he disappeared for 3 months, prompting speculation as to his whereabouts. The stock market flotation was set to make Mr. Ma the richest person in China. He eventually resurfaced, but according to reports, he has been avoiding the spotlight since then. Mr. Ma controlled Ant by acting in concert with other shareholders and through his stake. But Ant said shareholders had agreed to no longer act together when using voting rights and that they would only vote independently. Also, the shareholding structure will change in the future. However, as per Ant's statement, shareholders' economic interests would not change. Ant Group is nearing the completion of a 2-year restructuring which has been driven by regulators. Also, Chinese authorities are poised to impose a fine of a whopping more than $1 billion on the firm. This expected penalty is said to be a part of a sweeping crackdown on China's technology giants that has been going on over the past 2 years. The crackdown has cut hundreds of billions of dollars off companies' values and shrunk revenues and profits. However, it has been noticed that the authorities have softened their tone recently. These steps are being taken amid efforts to bolster the Chinese economy, which has been hit by the COVID pandemic. Laying out the firm's previous complex structure, the announcement showed that Mr. Ma indirectly controlled 53.46% of Ant's shares and believed him as the company's control person. Mr. Ma will hold just 6.2% of the voting rights following the adjustment, with the adjustment being implemented to further enhance the stability of the corporate structure and the sustainability of the long-term development of the Ant Group. 10 individuals, which include the founder, management, and staff, will exercise their voting rights independently. Reports from the company have stated such. But the adjustment would not change the economic interests of any shareholders. It's a sad situation as Ant's planned IPO would have been a world record listing, and its damaging withdrawal came as Mr. Ma's other business interests creaked under official scrutiny. Not only that, but Beijing also hit Alibaba, the internet titan co-founded by Ma. The company that operates popular Chinese shopping platforms Taobao and Tmall, with a record $2.75 billion fine for alleged unfair practices. In a sign that the official grip may now be easing, authorities said last month that Ant had won approval to raise 10.5 billion yuan, equating to $1.5 billion for its consumer finance arm. China is targeting Alibaba with an anti-monopoly investigation. Also, according to a notice issued on December 30th, an office of the China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission in the southwestern city of Chongqing will let the firm raise its registered capital from 8 billion yuan to 18.5 billion yuan. This news of the approval sent shares in Alibaba soaring almost 9% in Hong Kong trading, while other tech firms were also boosted on expectancies as the sector crackdown could be easing. Alibaba's latest earnings data in November showed a loss of 20.6 billion yuan for the third quarter, and the company did not release full sales figures for its Singles' Day shopping bonanza in 2022 for the first time. The e-commerce festival is an important gauge of Chinese consumer sentiment, and once saw Mr. Ma share a stage with major Chinese and Western celebrities. But he has become more muted in recent years, maintaining a lower profile since Ant's failed IPO, only punctuated by appearances at charity events and occasional sojourns overseas. According to a report by Bloomberg on Saturday, Mr. Ma was in Thailand this week. Mr. Jack Ma's departure from Ant Financial, a company he founded, really shows the determination of the Chinese leadership to reduce the influence of large private investors, and this trend will probably continue the erosion of the most productive parts of the Chinese economy. So that's all for today, guys. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on the fantastic content. Until next time.